They say the Crimson Cathedral only appears after midnight, but tonight it came for me. Its doors opened by themselves, whispering my name, and every shadow inside was hungry. I'd always heard the stories, the hushed whispers in the back of pubs and around late-night campfires. The legend of the Crimson Cathedral, an impossible structure of blood-red stone and obsidian spires that materializes on moonless nights, a phantom church that isn't on any map. They said it was a place of forgotten gods, a gateway to somewhere else. I'd always dismissed it as folklore, a spooky tale to scare tourists, until tonight. It started with the fog. A thick, unnatural mist rolled in just after the clock struck 12, swallowing the streetlights and muffling the city's hum into a dead silence. My walk home from my late shift felt wrong. The air grew cold, carrying a strange scent like old incense and damp earth, and then I saw it. At the end of my street, where a vacant lot had been for years, stood the cathedral. It was gargantuan, a gothic nightmare torn from a madman's dream. The stone wasn't just red. It seemed to pulse with a faint internal light, as if it were alive and breathing. Stained glass windows, dark and opaque, showed no signs of life within, yet I felt 1,000 eyes watching me from their black panes. I should have run, I should have screamed, but my feet were frozen to the pavement, my breath caught in my chest. A strange pull, a morbid curiosity held me captive. That's when the doors opened. 2 massive slabs of carved wood, heavy enough to need 12 men to move, swung inward without a sound. And from the darkness beyond, a whisper slithered through the fog. It was a chorus of voices, yet a single entity, and it spoke my name. It was a sound that didn't enter my ears, but bloomed directly in my mind, a cold flower of dread. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back, but my body betrayed me. I took a step, then another, my legs moving with a will of their own. I crossed the threshold into absolute blackness. The heavy doors slammed shut behind me, the sound echoing like a tomb being sealed. The air inside was thick, heavy, and smelled of decay and something metallic like old blood. I couldn't see a thing, yet I knew the space was impossibly vast. The whispers were all around me now, no longer calling my name, but murmuring in a language I didn't understand, ancient and guttural. Then I noticed the shadows. They weren't just patches of darkness, they were moving. They stretched and writhed along the unseen walls and floors, detaching themselves from the corners, coalescing into forms that were vaguely, horrifyingly humanoid. They had no features, no faces, just deeper pockets of nothingness where eyes should be, but I could feel their hunger. It was a palpable force, a pressure in the air that promised to consume not just my body, but my very soul. They began to drift towards me, slowly at first, then faster, their whispers rising in pitch to a discordant shriek. I was trapped, a tiny speck of light about to be extinguished by an ocean of darkness. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was a final desperate act of self-preservation. I closed my eyes and pictured the sun. I pictured a warm summer day, the smell of freshly cut grass, the feeling of sunlight on my skin. I focused on every happy memory I had, every spark of light and warmth I'd ever known, and I held on to it like a lifeline. The shrieking intensified, a physical assault of sound, but a tiny pinprick of light appeared behind my eyelids. The shadows recoiled. I pushed harder, pouring all my will, all my hope, into that mental image of the sun. The light grew, expanding, pushing back against the encroaching dark. The cathedral itself seemed to groan, the very stones vibrating with rage. With a final deafening roar, the darkness shattered. I was thrown backward, tumbling through the doors and onto the cold, damp pavement outside. I scrambled to my feet, gasping, and turned around. The street was empty. The fog was gone. The vacant lot was just a vacant lot. The Crimson Cathedral had vanished as if it had never been. I'm safe in my apartment now, with every light turned on. But the whispers, I can still hear them at the edge of my hearing. And I know, with a certainty that chills me to the bone, that the cathedral is still out there. It knows my name, and it's waiting for the next moonless night. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever experienced something you can't explain, let me know in the comments below. Stay safe and maybe leave a light on tonight. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales from the shadows.